And he'd
45
walk
of the
down
league
the
season.
tunnel in slow motion, and directed by Brady Frost would come up.
Yeah. And it'd go black and white, and it'd have Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me.
Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
The playoffs are secured, baby. Welcome to the warm episode 71. Joining me, your host, Brady Frost, is Tom Bradshaw and Francine Gorman. How are you both?
Hey up.
Not too bad, thank you.
Good to hear. Good to have you both back. So, guys, I know we're a preview pod, but bloody hell, we're in the playoffs. Let's just I want to talk about it as much as possible. Tom, must be chuffed. You were there on Friday with me. Got to have a nice pre-game drink with me, and surely that made that topped any result that could have happened afterwards.
Yeah, it did, Brady. It was a beautiful moment to share a pint with you, mate. What an achievement! What a season! What a season! Who'd have thought this? I had a look back at that preview show we did at the start of the season, and I did a little video for it, and I predicted we'd finish 16th. And that was quite optimistic when you watch all the others. Everyone was like, yeah, everyone was around the bottom end of the table. I just think you got to take it as it comes, haven't you, and be really proud of how this team has pulled it together, because they really have. They've all basically shown every Town fan up, I think.
No, absolutely. I mean, even the pundits. I mean, I was listening to not the top 20, and they were, they had us down for relegation, and they just said that we've just been proven wrong at every point. So yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Francine, I mean, you've got to agree, aren't you? You're not going to be like, no, it's terrible.
No, it's been an awful time. No, it's just mad, isn't it? And I was watching that video there was this video doing the rounds on Elon Musk's Twitter the other day of Mitrovic's first goal of the season, which was that absolute horror show where Schofield chested it from who knows what his plan was. And it just seems like an absolute lifetime ago. That whole thing. I remember coming away from that game being embarrassed. I was like, oh, that was just such a shit show. It really was horrible. And now here we are talking about playoffs and arguing about whether we're going to finish second or third.
Exactly. You're spot on though with that game, because I remember that, and that was the first game I've been back to since lockdown, and obviously you're buzzing for it even more so. And then I remember I went with my stepdad, and I was just like, yeah, let's just go back into lockdown again. I don't need to see that. So yeah. But we've had some good times, haven't we? But we're not here to chat about the playoffs. I mean, we will be, because me and Tom are going to do some previews for that. But we're here to talk about a game we've got to play on Saturday, which is Coventry. So let's jump into it. So Coventry Sky Blues, they're 11th in the table. They're 13 points off the playoff places, and they've won 17 of their 44 games this season. I was having a look at their league form, as I always do for this section. In the last 10, they've won 3, drawn 3, lost 4. Interestingly, though, in the last 6 home matches, they've picked up just 5 points, which actually puts them in the bottom 3 of the form table for teams at home. Head-to-head wise, we've drawn with Coventry 3 times since 2020. Tom, do you think it'll be another draw, given Coventry have nothing to play for, and maybe you could argue we've got other things to focus on? But then again, you're trying to convince me we're going to get second. So what do you make of it?
Oh, I think if it's still there, you've got to go for these. All Town can do, right, is win these last 2 games, and then you never know. Stranger things have happened, haven't they? It's so it's frustrating, because what I did the other day, I had to look back at results, and I thought, we should have picked Coventry as an example. That should have been 3 points, and they scored last minute, don't they, to get the draw?
Oh, I don't know. They battered us, I think. That was
I know, but when you're winning 1-0 with, that's what I mean, Brad. If you're 1-0 up with a minute to go, you should be seeing that game out. That's what I mean. Yeah, they did batter us. They missed a bag full of chances, didn't they, that day? What was the question again? Is it going to be difficult?
Well, but the professionalism that goes in from me and Tom. We've drawn with them 3 times in 2020. Do you think it's a draw? But you were kind of saying no, we could still. There's still outside chance of second.
I think Carlos, the way he is, he'll still be going for it. He's not going to put out Aaron Rowe and Danny Grant, do you know what I mean, for the next 2 games. Not that they're bad players, but, they're B team, aren't they? He's not going to put them lads out for the next 2 games. It's like you say, it depends what the mindset of Coventry. Are they on the beach now? Sometimes you play with a bit more freedom when you've kind of got nothing to play for. It becomes a bit of an exhibition kind of style game, maybe. What a season they've had there. I mean, I know they've just missed out on those playoffs, but you've got to commend Mark Robbins. It's kind of that's his team in it that he does well with, obviously. I think they're up there with kind of us and Luton in the sense that they've just about overachieved. I mean, they've dropped off a bit, but I think you can't take away the kind of squad he's built and bringing them up from League One and settling in the Championship so well. It's going to be tough, but yeah, let's get another 3 points, I think, and see where we finish at the end of season.
You need to be the hype man for the squad, mate. Like Mr. Motivator, but just for Town. Lovely. Francine, so I suppose similar question, really. Now that Town have confirmed the playoffs, do you think it'll affect the mentality, or do you think they'll still try and pick up as many points as possible? Because I suppose you could argue it's good to keep momentum going while you're still playing well.
Yeah, and I hope that they're going in with the mentality of getting the 3 points out of it, because there's so much going on around us. So all we can do is turn up and concentrate on the game and get the points. That's where their heads need to be. It just needs to be winning this fixture. Because, looking at the table and looking at not very many games in hand that are left around us now, but who's facing who and what's going on, there can be so much movement still in that top, not 6, Fulham are started, aren't they, but from 2 to 6, 2 to 7, like, so much can still change, even though we've only got 2 or 3 games left. So yeah, I'll be in a bad mood if they're not turning it with the shooting boots on. I will.
You've been warned, Carlos. I know you're listening to this.
Yeah. And I think we've already picked up some pretty key injuries, haven't we? So the people that we're going to be hoping to be rested and fit as much as they can get better in the short time that is between now and the playoffs. Those are already out and healing, aren't they? So I think, just get everyone out, get them going for it. Get them fighting for their playoff places as well. They're spotting the team. Yeah,
fair enough. I mean,
no prisoners.
Tom, no prisoners.
Take no prisoners.
Love it. Well, Tom, Francine said there should be mad if they're not on it. And Coventry do have some players who could make Francine mad come full time on Saturday. Who did you pick for this one as a key player for Coventry?
I've gone with Ben Sheaf as my pick, Brady. That is how you pronounce his last name, isn't it? That is correct. Sheaf.
Why are you asking me? I
don't know. You run this podcast. I thought you'd know these kind of things. But I that's what I've been calling him all this season anyway. I thought when I've seen him play, he's looked quite like a tidy little player. 30 appearances for them this season. Former Arsenal academy, he's there permanently now. So he can play centre back and centre mid, but he's been more defensive mid this season, I think. 5 goals, 3 assists, I think, which is quite a nice little return for like a CDM. Only 24, so he's settled in nicely into the Championship as well. I think he might become one of those players that down the line you'd be like, he'd become a kind of Championship stalwart, quite a solid player that I'd maybe potentially look at taking a punt on if we went up as just like because Hoggy's coming to the end of his career and Lewis O'Brien is inevitably joining PSG, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's got to teach Messi a few things, hasn't he? No, fair enough. I love how you turned this section when we look at key players into players we should get when we go up.
I know, I do. Yeah, it is like, when we go up, this is who we should sign.
To be fair, we've criticised the recruitment in the past. Obviously, they got it right this season, but wouldn't be far-fetched to say season's gone by. That would be similar. Francine, what about yourself? Did you go for the Sheaf, or did you go for someone else?
Yeah, I went for someone else. I went for Callum O'Hare, who's he's been a very lively player for him this season, and I've not watched that much Coventry this season, but he's definitely stood out from the highlights I've seen. And he's very naughty for 90-plus minute goals as well. And as we noticed last week, we are quite susceptible to goals at that point in the game. So I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on. But he's an attacking midfielder, but he just creates constantly. So I think he's definitely going to be someone we need to try and keep quiet, especially if he's still on the pitch after 90 minutes.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I think actually Coventry have scored. I don't know if they definitely were at one point the side in the league have scored the most goals past 90 minutes.
I think they're third now, Brady.
Oh, are they?
I think when I was watching the Fulham game the other night, that popped up, and I think it was like Fulham, Forest, and then Coventry.
Oh, well, there you go. But still, the point is
well,
valid.
Yeah.
I mean, good player as well. Maybe want to add to your shopping cart, Tom?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Good shot. So I've gone for I picked Ian Martson. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but as soon as Tom checks with me, I'll check with myself, and I'm going to go with that. It's fine.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Yeah. So he joined on loan from Chelsea, and he's been like an ever-present in the side. I actually thought when they played us at the John Smiths, I thought he actually caused a few problems for us. And he plays on the left, so Coventry tend to play like 3-5-1-1, and he's on the left there, so kind of like a wing back, if you like, bombing up and down, and he looks good. That's my tactical analysis. He looks good. One I would put in the shopping cart as well.
So but there's so many. This is the problem, though. We can't sign all these players, can we? We've already. I keep sending you players that we should sign. I said about 3 of those Barnsley players the other night. I did have a fair few to drink though, so that might have helped them lads out a bit.
Well, to be fair, as we all know, football in real life is a lot like FIFA career mode. So, like you can just sign like 20 players. So not to worry. But anyway, let's not talk about players we could buy. What about players we've already got? Look at that for a segue.
Nice.
Francine, who did you pick as a key player for Town in this one?
I've gone for a classic, O'Brien. We just need someone to rile him up, keep him busy, shifting, finding space. And I'd love to see him bag something as well before the end of the season. I think he's worked so hard all season, and he's been brilliant. And I'd love to just polish it off with a goal or two from him in the next couple of games.
But that's something we've said, haven't we? I mean, that's a kind of broken record thing on this podcast, is like how good he is, because he is the best player that Town have got, but he is just lacking that kind of clinical edge with either setting up that assist or scoring a couple of goals, isn't it?
I'm sure you guys saw on the Old Town Twitter, but Championship team of the season was announced, and I saw some shouts for maybe a bit unfair that Lewis was not in there. Would you guys agree with that, or are we being a bit biased? Because I think the thing, like you touched on it there, Tom, goals and assists, like and if you're doing a team of the season, that's probably what you look at straight away, isn't it?
I know, but then football isn't all about that. I know that's what wins you games, but you need someone to do the other bits of work, don't you? The way he gets, I'm going into like, he's just, what a beautiful player. The way he picks the ball up sometimes and just glides past about 4 or 5. What? Some of the stuff he's done this season, the way he controls it, some of the play he's done, the way he runs with a ball, I just can't get over it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful to watch. And I think we've got to enjoy it whilst we can. But Brady, I think it was close, but there's some good players. The one that I thought, why has he really got in there, is Harry Wilson for me. That's the one that annoyed me the most, because he's had a good season, but like he's a Premier League player anyway, and he should. I actually think he potentially should have maybe had a bit of a better season than he has. I feel like he's had like 500 free kicks and a few have gone in, basically.
Truly the Ronaldo of the Championship.
Yeah.
I also picked up Brian though. Just touching on there. Let's go back to talking about how much we like Lewis. Get Harry Wilson. I just think because they play five, I think he would really help break the lines. And I don't know, we can talk and fantasize about if we were in the Premier League or whatever. Because why not? Yeah, it could all crash and burn in 2 weeks' time, or we could be talking about it and dining out on it for months. I just think Lewis is great. I'd love to see him at a high level as well, because I do think he could really kick on if he was surrounded by some quality as well. Not that he isn't at the moment, because fourth in the league, goes without saying. Tom, did you also join the Lewis love in, or did you go for someone else?
I had him down for a bit, but then I thought because it's like I pick players that I want to sign, and then I try to pick players that maybe aren't playing great and I want them to have a good performance as my key player. So I think with injuries and stuff, I've gone with Josh Koroma for my key player, because I just think we've got this short, Sorba-shaped hole at the moment that needs filling, and you've kind of got half of it filled by Sinani with the delivery that you get from him, but you're lacking someone with maybe a bit of pace and a bit of trickery who's going to run at players. I think Koroma offers that. Look, it's a weird one, isn't it? He had such a good season kind of behind closed doors, and then it's been a bit of a different tale this year. But when you look back, like I think I said it a few weeks ago, it was like maybe he needs to do better, but quite rightly someone called it out. He'd like scored 2 in his last 3 or whatever, that Cardiff win, and then when did he score? He scored another one quite recently. I thought when he came on against Borough as well, he looked quite lively. So I think a good Koroma performance for me, it's kind of that kind of away game where I think he could just stretch that defence a bit and get us up the pitch when we need to.
Yeah, I think, we all like Koroma, and like you say, we want him to, not that he needs to kick on, but I think, it's a combination of things you could argue, isn't it? Like, he's not played as much this season, and, he's been a bit in and out of the side for injury and various other things. But also, I think, he was so great last season, and, defenders work you out or like put an extra man on you, and, maybe he's not had the opportunity or the consistency to kind of, push on to that next level. But absolutely, like, on his day, I think he's, we've talked about difference makers before, and he, for me, can be a difference maker. He's the one you could see scoring from 20 yards out, from half a chance. I mean, I always think about goal against Blackpool, to open the scoring when we won 3-0 away. I don't think we have many players who can do that. I think that is what Koroma offers. So, really good pick, Tom. But we'll move on anyway, because it's time for View from the Other Side. So I caught up with Tom from the Coventry fan podcast Sky Blues Extra ahead of the game, and here's what he had to say.
We've lost to a pub side. We've literally lost to a pub side.
Hi Tom, thanks for joining me. So as the season's drawn to a close, what have you made of Coventry's campaign?
Hi Brady, thanks a lot for having me on. Really appreciate it, and just want to quickly say congrats to Huddersfield for making the playoffs. Obviously you guys have had a brilliant season. It's been really good to see, and I genuinely think you've got every chance of doing well in the playoffs. So best of luck for that. In terms of Coventry's campaign, it's been a pretty good one. Not quite as good as yours, but I think we've probably done a bit better than what we expected at the start of the season. Obviously looking to finish in the top half. We've progressed a lot of good players. Probably got 3 or 4 players now that, looking at sort of 10 mil plus, possibly, which is great. And we've progressed so much since obviously dropping all the way down to League Two. So it's been a really good season, really enjoyable. Obviously been back at our home ground as well, which has been a bit of a bonus for us. So yeah, really enjoyed it and looking forward to seeing how we kick on next season. Hopefully we can sort of follow in the footsteps of Huddersfield and get into that top 6.
And how are you feeling about the game on Saturday? As fans, are you seeing it as a write-off, or is it a chance to make a statement against a team in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's an interesting game Saturday. Sort of quite a hard one to predict, really. Obviously, both teams in sort of slightly different situations in that, I guess you could call it a bit of a dead rubber in the sense that Huddersfield are already in that top 6 and don't have a lot to play for in that respect. And obviously, we're now sort of mathematically, we technically can make the playoffs, but obviously it would take some ridiculous goal swings. It's not going to happen. So it makes it a little bit of a hard one to predict. Part of me says that you guys will be sort of quite relaxed about it, probably won't be sort of pushing yourselves too hard because you obviously want to save yourselves for the playoffs. You don't want to get players injured. Like these are some of the factors involved. But at the same time, momentum is really important heading into the playoffs. So, expect you to come out and I imagine you probably want to win every game now and keep the momentum going. You don't want to have sort of a slip up heading into the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a difficult game for us. But I think it's probably one that we will be taking seriously. We were talking about this on our podcast, whether would Mark Robbins be looking to perhaps bed in some of the younger lads. I don't think he will. He's not the sort of manager who tends to do that. I think he wants to win every single game. I think he wants to finish as high up the table as he can. And I think, if we were to finish sort of 7th or 8th, I think that would look probably a lot better than if we were finished, 12th, 13th, 14th. And, definitely when it comes to attracting players as well, I think the higher up in the league you finish, the better. So I imagine it'll be a game that both teams will take seriously. And, I think it's an important game. I know you'll bring a lot of fans as well. So I think it'll be a really, really exciting occasion.
And finally, where do you expect the game to be won or lost from Coventry's perspective?
In terms of where the game will be won and lost, hard to say exactly. I think we're sort of almost back to full strength, really. So I think we'll be going out with a pretty strong side. Obviously, we've got some dangerous players in the form of Gustavo Hamer. We've got Callum O'Hare. Probably the biggest one to watch out for will be Victor Gyökeres, who is a really difficult player to play against. I know you guys have got a couple of injuries to key players. I think Sorba Thomas was out, and obviously Danny Ward as well, who I think is your top goal scorer. So I guess, but I know you've still been keeping the momentum up and getting some great wins under your belt. So it's going to be an interesting one. It'll be an interesting midfield battle between some of those key players. I think if you can keep Gyökeres and players like Gyökeres and O'Hare quiet, then you might have every chance. I think in reality, it's probably going to probably be a draw. I'll probably go for a kind of 1-1 draw for this one. But yeah, as I said, very much looking forward to the game.
Okay, so we've heard from Tom. Tom, I saw you raise your eyebrows there. Were you a bit jealous that I've been talking to another Tom?
Yeah, well, I was going to say that wasn't just me putting on an accent because everyone knows how good my accents are anyway.
Have you got one for us now? Any?
No, maybe later. It's got to be. I can't. It's got to just be natural, Brady. I don't just do them willy nilly.
Okay. Oh, fine. Whatever. A bit disappointed. Anyway, I'm going
to
do myself.
Actually, just Freddie. He's good accent. Freddie, who we're on before. That's who we need to get back on just to do some accents. Shout out to Freddie.
Sounds like you're also having like a little dig at Francine then, because she's not good at accents. Freddie was really good at accents.
You have no idea how good I am at accents.
Yeah.
Are you good at accents,
the stage
I used to be really good at accents.
You used to be?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I feel like I've lost confidence.
You used to tour the country, didn't you, with doing your shows, different accents around the country?
I did.
Yeah, those were the days.
Well, maybe we'll have to get you on for the playoff preview. If there's a bit of tension, we'll give you time to brush up on your accents, and we'll put you to the test. Right.
I'll start practicing.
Nice. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to G myself up here because Stephen criticised us for our lack of enthusiasm for this section, but I'm bloody excited. Are you?
No.
Come on, try again. Are you excited?
Yeah, I can't wait. I love this section so much.
What's the section, Tom? You can introduce it.
The section.
The resection.
The resection is return to the section. I mean, return to the Mac.
Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. De Poitras's got the better. Yes! And Laurent De Poitras scored! What a goal, Aaron Moy! An absolute thunderbolt delivered all the way from Australia.
Return to the Mac.
Woo! Right, I'm so excited to pick a former Town player from the past.
It's a good
Tom,
jingle.
It's the best jingle. Go on then, Francine. We'll let you pick because Tom missed up his resection there. So, who did you pick as a former Town player to bring back for this game?
I have gone for Peter Clark for this game.
Go on, Peter.
Good old Peter, for a few reasons. First of all, just because I'm really happy to see him. He made the League Two team of the season, which I'm thrilled to bits about.
4 years old and doing that.
4 years
He's never
old.
gonna stop. But also just thinking back to the home fixture against Coventry and how important our back line was. Like they were so good. They really were. They're one of the best teams that I've seen at our ground this season, I reckon. So I think we just need to have a really, really tight back line, and I'd love the thought of Peter Clark getting stuck into a more. And with a few key injuries in that area at the minute, like I'm going to miss Matty Pearson in this game. I think, someone on some central, a big chunky central defender just frightening everybody would be really useful.
Yeah, really good pick. I picked him last week for the same reason, so that is a thumbs up from me.
Did you pick him last week?
I did. Tom,
was I here last week?
You were here last week. Maybe in body, but not in spirit.
Yeah, maybe.
Can you remember who you picked last week? To be fair, if it wasn't Peter Clark, I don't know.
Actually, I can't remember last week. To be fair, there was a lot of drinking had during that Barnsley game, which pretty much wiped the week before out of my memory. So,
yeah. But you were so excited to have a drink with me. That's clearly what it was. Yeah. And also the amazing cheap pints we got. But anyway, that's another story for the podcast.
I know. I can't believe that. £8 for a round of 4 pints. That was insane.
And also in a pub where I mentioned I was in Leeds, and just the word Leeds, someone came up to me and went, "What did you fucking say?" Yeah, you're a Leeds fan. No. And then I showed him my season card because he wouldn't go away, and he was like, "God bless you, have a good night."
Unbelievable.
Anyway, Tom, who did you pick?
Well, I kind of haven't picked anyone, because that's how much I love this section of the show, and I hope Stephen Chicken's listening to this right now. But I've got written down here, so I've got someone now after Francine's. I'm just going to throw it out there, and I'm going to use my big card that I haven't played yet all season. But first of all, I've got the Shoe Army as a return to the Mac written down, because do you remember the Shoe Army when everyone got the shoes out and just went, Shoe Army? Like, what happened to that? What even happened to Shoe Army? That was so random. It was quite a weird chant thing, wasn't it? Like, what a weird thing that was. But yeah, I'll go with Alan Lee for my return to the Mac.
You're going to be fuming. That guy who sent in that hot take the other week is going to be seething listening to this.
He's never going to listen again.
Yeah, we've lost a listener after that. After our 9-minute defence of Alan Lee in the preview podcast of Barnsley. You guys, the listeners, know what they're here for. You knew what this was. Okay. Alan Lee it is. I actually, because I'm so bloody excited for this section and I love it so much, Stephen Chicken, I actually thought, well, Sorba's recovering, isn't he? We don't know what's happening with Sorba. I don't want to think about it too much because, we might get sad if he is out for the playoffs. But anyway, okay, fine, whatever. Didn't mention his name. Do you know what we do need, though, if Sorba's not playing in this one? We need a winger who's going to run at people.
Is it Mustafa Karayol?
It's not Mustafa. It's plies his trade.
Elvis Manu.
Not Elvis Manu. We can make this podcast an hour and a half if you're just going to list crap on wingers.
Lionel Ainsworth.
It is like, no, it's Joe Lolly. I've gone for Joe Lolly for this.
Fair enough.
Again, I think I've talked about it before. Didn't feel he maybe had I would have liked to seen him maybe a bit more. I know we're in the Prem, but I always think of this. He scored that amazing goal against West Ham, where he just ran through players and cut inside, and then didn't we sell him like 2 days later? Whatever. So.
Yeah, I was gutted when he went. I thought he was just kind of coming into a bit of something, wasn't he? Because he played against Stoke as well and came on and caused them problems. Came on away at Southampton, and I remember turning to my mate Jack and being like, Lolly's had a good game there. He's really kind of, I think he was just thriving that being in the Premier League thing. When he came on last night though for Forest, it looked like he's gone, I think. So you'd be having, we've said this before, return to the Mac is the Joe Lolly that is played for Huddersfield, not Joe Lolly right now.
Yeah, Joe Lolly in his prime at Huddersfield. Yeah. Why would I pick him when he's at his when he came on last night?
Well, you never set the rules. Never set the rules.
We need to review this at the end of the season. Yeah, we do. We need to lay down the ground rules. But yeah,
give it Giggsy till the end of the season.
That's a great shout, though. I love Joe Lolly. I was absolutely gutted when he left because for the exact reason you said, I just felt like he was getting into his prime. We could have definitely had another really good season out of him. And then he went
didn't he? Yeah, he got into his prime. He left and went to Forest.
Yeah, he was class that season. Wasn't he? Worked for 2 seasons, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and he was really well, and then it was just injury laden after that, wasn't it? And it sort of has been ever since. But class player.
It's a weird one. I remember Matt saying, but apparently, I don't know if this is true, so I will say allegedly. But allegedly. When he was at Town, he was trained how to run differently because he kept getting shin splints. So he had to have a different running style so he could make it through games. And I always remember that's
allegedly.
Allegedly.
I heard that as well.
So strange.
Yeah,
because he was a student, wasn't he? And he just laid around doing nothing because that's what they do.
I also heard allegedly Wagner had to have a talk with him when he was because he was living a bit of the student lifestyle while playing for Town.
I also heard allegedly that Wagner was he made him go back to university and study physics or something like that, I think it was.
Yeah. I also heard allegedly Wagner said when he sent him back to university that Wagner said he was from the University of Life. So this is what I say. Anyway.
The fatigue is kicking in.
People think it's hard for the players playing 44 games. What about 44?
44 previews.
I'm doing the rolling subs. Sub us off. Let's move on then, because it's obviously it's you're the boss. Francine, I remember because I think your managerial attire was one of the best we've had on this. So. Are you still going for the same one? You're still taking inspiration from Beyonce?
Because that was actually only because it was Steve Bruce as well.
Yeah, true.
You were doing Beyonce just to kind of psych Steve Bruce out.
Yeah, it's a very specific outfit choice for a very specific moment in time. I don't have the same kind of feelings of hatred going into this game, so I'd probably wear something a little bit more a little bit less threatening, kind of celebratory almost, because we're in the playoffs. Maybe a glittery Oscars dress this time round.
Nice.
Yeah, with football boots.
Shin pads as well.
What if it was really sunny and it glared? There was glaring off the dress.
Tactic,
that's all part of the plan. But it'd only glare in Coventry's direction.
Exactly. In their keeper's eyes.
He'll have to wear a cap. It's not because of the sun, it's because of the glittery dress.
Yeah.
It's the keeper.
There you go.
Anyway, in your glittery dress, are you making any changes to the team? I think this section kind of went when we were playing well, it's like we'll play the same team. But now the playoffs are confirmed. Do you bring one or two people in, maybe give them a bit of form heading into the playoffs? How are you going to approach it?
Sort of like that. I've decided to set up as we did against Middlesbrough, actually, because I think we played 5-ish at the back. Pippa's sort of more of a... I can never figure out if he's a right back or a winger. I always feel like he'd be a bit better as a winger. I don't know. Anyway, I'd bring him in because I thought he had such a good game against Borough. And I feel like this could be a similar kind of situation and setup for him. But obviously we had Thomas at that point. So I would bring in Holmes. And I would have Jordan Rhodes up front starting, because you cannot take the boy out the squad when he's expecting his 200th league goal. Is that because he had his 199th against Barnsley, didn't he?
Oh, wow.
So I think that's right. So if he scores this weekend, it's his 200th league goal. That might need fact checking, because I was drinking beers in a pub while I was watching that. So, but that's what I heard.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Did Joe Lolly tell you?
Jay Lol's told me that. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with Jordan. I saw that Ward was training, or I saw a picture of him in a training kit this week. So I'm hoping that he's going to at least be on the bench. Because that's someone that we really want to be match fit for the playoffs, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think Rhodes has got a little bit of a run together, hasn't he? He was 2-2. So
yeah,
I don't see why not. And like you say, if Ward's not going to be fit, maybe bring him on for this so he can, like later on. But yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think Pippa's a great shout as well. Made that amazing block, was it, against Borough as well. So rate it. Tom, are you switching anything up? I'm assuming because Karoma's your key player, you're putting Karoma in. Although, did he use for the fitness for Barnsley? We should definitely, do our
research.
Yeah, we should.
I mean, that's kind of the point of this kind of podcast, isn't it? That you research what the preview of the next game is going to be. Yeah. Start again. Start it from the beginning, and I'll change my. Cancel this, stop the recording and we'll start again. Is that all right?
No, I'm going to keep that in.
No, yeah, same as Francine, but yeah, I've got Karoma in there. Apparently he's injured though now, so...
I don't know if he is injured.
Allegedly he's injured.
Bloody hell, Joe. Always up to his old tricks. Allegedly.
So yeah, Nichols, and then that Borough lineup was, Toff, Sarr, Lees, Turton and Pippa as a back five. O'Brien, Hogg, Russell, and then Karoma did come on and kind of play right wing anyway, didn't he? Later on, and then Rhodes up front is what I've got.
Yeah. Again, I've gone to kind of a similar lineup for you, pretty much the same team. Again, I just think this is maybe more about giving people half an hour. Tino. If I would start Karoma, but if he's not only fit for the bench, bring him on. Maybe give Ward half an hour. I keep talking about him, Carroll. I feel like Carroll's got something to give. I'm not saying he's going to start, and Russell's been amazing. But to be fair, Russell. Why am I keep? It's
Ruffles.
Ruffles.
John Russells.
Josh
Ruffles.
You can tell it. John Russell. I've noticed he's very calm, which scares me as a fan who wants to, get upset, and he can be caught out, but also he doesn't track back a lot. I'm not saying Carroll will, but I wonder, again, I'd just like to see Eiting. I know he's probably off at the end of the season, but I do think he could contribute. And the only thing I would say is if one of that midfield three gets injured, which obviously I don't want to happen, and I'm touching wood as we talk, but we are going to need these players to come in. So I do think, why don't you give him half an hour? Again, I'm pleased to see Fraser come on towards the end as well.
Yeah.
I realise I've made the case for bringing on about 6 subs, but don't change the team too much, because I agree with you guys that we need to concentrate on ourselves, and like if we just keep winning, who knows what's going to happen. We either somehow make second, or we're still in a really strong position heading into the playoffs. So I don't know, we'll see. But I think maybe I think subs, give some, this is a game for subs for me, give people a run out, see what they can do. There we go. We'll go to our match predictions now. Now we see the game going and the score prediction. Francine, how do you see this one playing out?
I think we're going to beat them. I think it's going to be 2-1, and I think they're going to score in the 91st minute, and it's going to be that lad that I picked earlier, Callum, that does it. But no, I think we'll finally come away with a win. I think it's mad that we've only drawn since we've played him over the last couple of years. We've only drawn in the league with them since the 70s or something. It's mad.
Wow, good start.
Yeah, I think.
That sounded so passionate.
Wasn't since the 70s.
Yeah, allegedly since the 70s.
No. To be fair, I did check that. That is correct.
But then haven't we only played him like 4 times? Or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 4 times since the 70s.
And we've always drawn, and I just find that fascinating. So, but I think that this weekend is going to be the one where we get the points. So, yeah, 2-1, I reckon.
Nice, like it. First time Town will be at the Ricoh Arena as well. So a bit of an interesting one there for you. We're checking stats and interesting facts out there, left, right, and centre. Tom,
good start, Brady. That
good start. Good start. Well done.
Oh, well done. Good start.
Oh, you said a thing. Well done.
You did some research, did you, Joe Lolly?
Anyway, Tom, come on, don't be bitter. How do you see this one playing out? What's your score prediction?
My heart says 4-2 to Town. My head says 1-1.
Okay.
I really want us to win, because that I've been going on it for I've been telling you, Anna, for probably the last 2 months that we're going to get second. And I don't know this season. I've just been so optimistic. It's not like me at all.
It's good. It's good to see, mate.
But maybe I think 4-2. Let's say goals from. Oh, let's have a nice hat trick. Let's give Rhodes a hat trick. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Then he'd go over his 200th goal allegedly, and then 1 goal from Turton. Turton's got to get that goal, hasn't he? But in my 1-1, I'm going Lewis O'Brien.
Okay, yeah.
There's 2 scores there for you.
There's 2 scores, and I'll do you a favour. Whatever score is right, if one of those is right, I'll just edit it, afterwards and put the video out, so it looks like you're just, this mystic man.
Nice one.
So I did write 1-1 because I just think this is going to be a draw. But to be honest, I think the thing it just depends what Coventry do, to be honest. I think it just depends how they approach the game, really. If they're not asked, then, I know that's such an obvious thing to say, but if they're not bothered, I think we can win. I'm not saying it'll be as easy as like Barnsley was at times, but when teams have nothing to play for, like you say, it can go either way. But I think this squad is good enough, and I think mature enough and focused on the task to get a win. So might copy of Francine and go 2-1. And in fact, Coventry score late goals, but I'm going to have, for my predictions for scorers for Town, I'm going to have Rhodes, but then I'm going to have Ward to make a return off the bench and get the winner.
Nice.
I like it.
Because here you go, Tom, a little bit of narrative. Ward's first goal last season, when he had a terrible season, in his own words, against Coventry, wasn't it? So there you go. I'm creating the narrative. That's what I do.
What a story. You should write that as a movie.
Yeah, what an ending as well. Oh, you got the winner in a game.
Yeah, that'd be the movie. The start would be, his first goal against Coventry. And then the end, it wouldn't even if we got promotion, it would finish on that game against Coventry.
We finish on game 45.
And he'd walk down the tunnel in slow motion, and directed by Brady Frost would come up.
Yeah. And it'd go black and white, and it'd have simple minds, don't you forget about me.
Oh, wow.
Actually, what about if it was like the end of Breakfast Club and he was punching the air and he froze?
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Just like really blatantly rip off a film.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll do Breakfast Club minus the dodgy stuff that is aged horribly, but just with Danny Ward and somehow make it work. Okay, so we'll move on. This pod is going great. Tom, for God's sake, can you run it under the tap for as long as you can? I don't want you to get burned.
That was a bad burn.
It was a bad burn.
It's a deep burn.
It's a deep burn. Good. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll grab a tea towel and carefully handle this because it's time for hot takes.
Big bleep hot, mate. Big bleep hot, mate.
Yes, this is Hot Takes, the part where you share your spicy opinions about Huddersfield Town with your reason why, and we will debate it on this very podcast. Hot Takes will be anonymous. Don't forget to email brady@takesthatchance.com for a chance to be featured. Okay, guys, this hot take, interesting one. Having a go at the Town fan base, we have had one of these before. So, you know, we started the show by going, yeah, playoffs were, and now we're going to end it by reading out an email where someone's having a go at all the fans. So we offered a balanced view on this show, I think is fair to say. So the hot take is this. When Carlos gets poached by a bigger club in the summer, Town fans who've never warmed to him will get their wish. A stodgy, proper football man without a confusing accent, and we're back to where we started. There is a tendency to this fan base that is insular and moany, and it's a drag on the club. So that
was very well written.
That is, yes. Someone got out the thesaurus.
Was Joe Lolly sent that in?
Allegedly, Joe Lolly sent that in. It's from J Lols.
At hotmail.com. At hottakes.com.
Francine, I'll ask you about this because obviously it's like if Carlos gets poached by a bigger club, I suppose that's the if. But two things really. I suppose we'll ask the other one. Do you think the fan base? I'm setting you up for some angry tweets. But do you think the fan base can be a bit moany and insular sometimes?
Whose fan base isn't moany and insular? Come on. I don't think we're any worse than anybody else. It just annoys me how many people feel like they have to express it publicly, is where I have to see it when I'm scrolling through Twitter in the morning. But yeah, they are. But I think for every Town fan you've got that's really whingy, you've got one that's, you know, pulling it back together a bit. So we can be, but we're no worse than anyone else. You know, I think our fan base has got a lot of really good points. We've got a very funny fan base as well. You know, we've got Sandra. We've got a very warm fan base as well. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel too bleak about it. I avoid a lot of it, to be honest. I think Facebook is the worst spot for the whingers.
Yeah, it's weird that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Different social medias, you get kind of different fan atmospheres. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as well, like there's those shout the loudest, like no one wants to read a tweet where it's like, oh, I thought we played quite well today. So yeah, if you're gonna have who are we to talk? We're talking about a hot take section. We're not going to read out the emails, so it's like, oh, it's been a great season. Thanks so much. Yeah. Okay. Second point, Francine, as well. Obviously, they talked about Carlos getting poached by a bigger club in the summer. What do you think that would be the case? Do you think a big club would come knocking?
No, I think this season has been so unexpected for not only Town fans, but the international footballing community. So I reckon people are going to want to see what he does next. So, and that with us. So if we go up, see how he gets on. And then I think people might come knocking. I think you might be getting some sort of early friendly phone calls just to be in touch and see what he's doing. But I think he's definitely turning heads, but I don't think to the point that people will be poaching him just yet. And I don't think he'd want to go either. You know, he's spent all this time pulling this squad together. he's had to work so hard to get the absolute best out of everybody, and he's done such a brilliant job. So why would you go at this point?
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And plus, he brought his little kid round, and he had a little town shirt.
Yeah.
There you go. Tom,
One of us.
Exactly. Yeah. Tom, so same question for you. I suppose, should we talk about the Carlos thing and then maybe the fans? So Carlos, do you think he'd go? Do you agree, Francine?
I think, yeah, I don't particularly. I think he's quite an interesting character, and I don't think he would go for the sake of a bigger job. I think once he's got a project on, he wants to kind of see it through. But that's what I get from him anyway. But depends who comes along, doesn't it? If it's a nice, depends how he's in this. It's a lot of ifs and buts, Brady. I'm just speculating, aren't I? It's like if he wants to go back to Spain, he might get a nice job offer in La Liga or something. Who knows? On the fan thing, it's weird this season. Like the fans haven't been bad, and Cozzy touched on it on the main pod the other night, and I agreed when I was there at Barnsley, with 10 minutes to go and quite a lot were leaving. I was a bit like, come on, we've made the playoffs. You want to celebrate with these players and enjoy the moment. It is really interesting when you look at how it is compared to the Wagner season. I wonder if the bad run we had at the end of last season just still plays in the back of people's minds. Maybe not. Obviously, we can't fall away now or anything, but I don't know if it tainted it a bit for people or what. The connections there again. How amazing is that they've brought back it's not the Wagner wave, is it? It's the Carlos. Although Carlos don't get involved with it, so
the Carlos cheer.
The Carlos cheer, yeah. Send the pelters in. I do agree with this hot take in the sense of I think the fans haven't particularly got behind him as much as they did with Sir David. But I don't know why that is. Is it ex-Leeds? Some Town fans are weird about that because he was he was Leeds under 21 coach or whatever.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think I suppose now that we can talk about the playoffs, and obviously people want to compare the two teams. I think I was kind of the same. Obviously, I was there on Friday, and I was kind of like exactly the same. Like, well, we've qualified like this, like for the playoffs. Like we were 20th last season. Like, again, I can't remember where I heard it today, but 28 points off the playoffs last season. I think you could argue, and I know I'm biased, but Luton were a good mid-table side last season.
Yeah,
and I know Nathan Jones won Manager of the Year, but I think, and I know I'm biased, but I think Carlos, like, complete transformation, deserved Manager of the Season, in my opinion. It's weird, though, as well, like, with the fans, because I think, because we will compare 16-17 and this, like, 16-17, I don't know about you guys, but for me, very much felt like this is our one chance.
Yeah.
Like, if we do not go up, this is it. Like, the squad's going to get picked apart. Like, we have to make this count. And it's just, I don't want to seem, and again, I can kind of see it, but also, and you're right, Tom, I listened to it on the main pod, like, they could be right, like, not being funny. I'm not saying, look what happened to Barnsley, what happened to us, but Barnsley went both last season, and they've been relegated this season. Like, Cosy made a good point, like, could be in 10 years, like in the middle of League One, like talking about, well, how good did we have it? So, I'm very much enjoy the moment, enjoy it while you can. Like, like you say, the good times don't always last. We bloody know that, don't we? So, I think that's a separate point. But yeah, with the fans being moany and insular, I agree with you, Francine. I think most clubs are like that. I think because, supporting a football club, there's so many different people from different backgrounds getting involved, and that's why we love football, because everyone, it is quite universal that everyone can love it and everyone can get involved, and that means you get different opinions and different takes. And it annoyed me. I was sat in front of an old guy at Town who does my head in. He just talks absolute crap for 90 minutes, and he was saying, why don't we put 4 or 5 past these, really make a statement? It's like, what, to the already relegated team? like, and we're just conserving energy. I just think you're right. Like, your fans will always, like, they will always moan about something, because people, you know, there is some people who will always moan about something, and that's fine. Like, you know, you're allowed to do that. But yeah, you know, I'm allowed to say it, you know, pisses me off sometimes. Like, you can enjoy things, and there's no shame in enjoying things and getting carried away. And, you know, like you say, Tom, joking about going on the HMS automatic promotion. You know?
Exactly.
So,
I just put in there, Brady, I did say at this early end of the season, I was a bit questionable. Not of Carlos as his kind of football. I think that's what he's amazing at. It was the kind of how he comes across it was mainly in his interviews and stuff. Because Wagner was great at that one. I know I'm doing comparisons again, but I think what's really brought it round for me in these last few weeks is he's just coming out with, like, that when he came out with his kid for the Barnsley, that was awesome. And talking about when it was his birthday, and is his kid's birthday on the same day, and he took him to the training ground for the first time, and hearing those kind of things, really just getting a bit more side of the man rather than the tactician, if that makes sense, was, I think that's all I needed to kind of come round to him a bit more, because before it was just like tactics, this is what I do. And now it's like just finding a bit more out about him. Whereas Wagner straight away was all about family, this is me, blah, 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 and stuff, which weirdly, that's what I think I was needing from Carlos, just to get on more side with him earlier on.
A bit of warmth and a bit less enigma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about you two as well, but I feel like people put a lot of stuff into press conferences. Like, press conferences are, like, as a concept, quite boring. It's like, is player X going to be fit? Oh, what do you think of this team? Like, how are you going to approach this game? Like, so I get it. Like, Wagner was incredibly charismatic, and, like, let's be honest, like, the club made it, you know, a campaign out of it, the Wagner Revolution. And, like, you know, I was happy to jump on board. But, you know, like, I don't know, like, Carlos is doing amazing. I think I got asked the question about will he be poached when I did something when we played QPR, and I think it's two things for me, like, which you've both touched on. One, I think you're spot on, Francine. Like, it's one season. I know everyone's got the bad season in the back of their mind, but, you know, is it a fluke? I don't think it is, but, you know, you could easily say, is it a fluke? I think if you're on the outside. So there is that, and I'd be interested to see what happens next season, regardless of what happens. And two, I just think, you know, not in a bad way, Town aren't the biggest club in the country. There's no shame in admitting that, and I think because of that, we're more invested in Carlos, and Carlos can get more of his methods across. Like, you hear the players talking about how he's influenced their diet and how they feel fitter than ever, like how he's, you know, helped with the B team and how they link, and, like, players can come in. And I don't think you'd get that if he gets poached to a big club. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, but I think that's Carlos. You know, I saw someone saying, like, he'd get the Watford job, but
that's not a bigger club, by the way.
No, but also Watford
just
is
getting
like
in there.
Yeah,
we're going off on a tangent, Brady,
yeah.
But Town are a small club. Town are a small club.
I'm not saying they're a small club. I'm just
what's
saying
a bigger club as well? Who's poaching Carlos? That's a bigger club. A team in the Premier League, then a Premier League job. I'd say phrase it that way.
I think he'd only move for a Premier League team.
Yeah,
it's like say who
all the league.
Yeah. Who's it going to be? Who's going to hire a Championship manager?
Yeah.
After one season.
Yeah.
You know, in an established Premier League club, I just don't see it happening. And that's not to discredit the work that he's doing in any way. It's just, you know, people need a bit of evidence, and need a bit of proof. I think we as Town fans do as well. So I think he needs to stick with us so we can see what he's got in him.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, Francine. Basically, what you're saying is it's a good job Ten Hag's gone to Man U, because otherwise he'd have been straight in there, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah.
That's basically what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I think we'll leave it there. But again, I'm enjoying all the hot takes. Talking more about overview. I suppose we can talk about it now, because obviously we want to win games, but we can, you know, like I say, it's the exciting phase. So let's all enjoy it while we can. Anyway, I'll shut up. Thanks to Tom and Francine for coming on, as always. Thanks to everyone who listens, again, as always. And thanks to Magic Rock, as always, for sponsoring this podcast.
Brady, what's the code?
What's the code? Oh, look at
Off
you.
the top of your head.
Getting it in. It's AHTTC10.
And what do you get?
That's a great question, Thomas. Thank you for asking. You get 10% off all online orders.
10% off?
10%. That's good, isn't it?
It's a bargain.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah. Just think of how much Town Lager. And I would also say thanks to everyone who's entered all our competitions with Magic Rock. 130 bloody answers we got on our most recent one. So that was amazing. So thank you everyone for taking part. And there will be another one coming up before the end of the season. So do keep your eyes peeled for that because it's exciting. Cool. Anyway, Tom and I will be back to preview the Bristol City game. Ta-ta for now and up the Town. Tom, do you want to say anything, sign up? Allegedly. Allegedly.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the Town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So Town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So Town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.